Hello to all you yids out there. This is the Heart Now Here Spurs Fans podcast, a podcast from a bunch of yids to all you yids around the world. And we're coming to you live on a Sunday night where the emotions are very, very, very raw. We are doing this 24 hours after what I can personally say, and I was only watching it on the box, was one of the most boring and poor performances I've seen from a Tottenham team in a London derby for a very, very long time. I'm with two of the great lads from the team, Matty Kerr and TJ Smith, who were there. They were on TikTok Live, Insta Live yesterday when the crowd was up for it before the game, and that slowly dissipated that whole mood to a point where there was boos and a lot of problems at the end of the game. But lads, how are you doing this day? You're right? You're right on Sunday, 24 hours after what was a shambolic performance?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. I wasn't ready for TJ's positivity this morning, mate. That's for sure.
I mean, this is the
he
thing.
says that, but I'm not positive, mate. Like, I'm not. But I just, like, do you know, you just got to put things into context a little bit. Like, everyone, we're in a few WhatsApp groups, and everyone was just going a bit off. And I was like, mate, we finished fucking 17th last year. We're 4th in the league. Like, calm down. Like, it was shit. Like, bad. And we'll get into it because honestly, it was fucking awful. But not just the game. I thought we were terrible. I thought they were fucking shit as well. But also the game's gone, man. When did Tottenham Chelsea become nothing? Like, there was nothing, mate. Like, I fucking sound old saying this, but when it was Tottenham Chelsea, when I was like early 20s, I was on the fucking high street from 11 a.m. for a 5:30 kickoff, and like honestly, just there was no, like, apart from that bit that me and Matt filmed, and that really was it. Yeah, like there was no real buzz in the pubs. Like there was no real, like, I don't know, man. I just feel like the game's gone. Like, I genuinely went down there yesterday, and I thought, do you know what? I don't give a fuck if I never go again. Like this is the, like, the atmosphere is fucking shit, man. Like, I can't, like, it's just, I don't know what's happened. Maybe it's just me being an old fucking geezer, like an old fogey now. Like, but I just felt like I don't know. Yeah.
Do you know, boys, that where they tried to push that atmosphere out, and before the game, like in the South Stand, it was absolutely rocking. The atmosphere was good, right? And I feel like it started off good, but the atmosphere has to come with the team performances as well. And we were shocking from the first whistle. We were sitting on the edge of our box, misplaced passes. So automatically, straight away, everyone's going to think, oh, here we go again, you know? Like, it's just one of them things.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it overall, I'll just give some stats. Overall possession, Chelsea at 52.1%. Sadly, I'm going to give a little bit of context because we had just under 50% at 47.9. The shots, 3 of ours to 15. They had 9 on target to our 1. The biggest thing, and the thing that's been coming up a lot, is the XG. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of this stat, but it's a stat that highlights things. At one point, it was 0.01 for us. But overall, Chelsea had a 2.92 XG rate against our 0.05. I mean, Matt, TJ's alluded to it a little bit already. It was great to see what you guys were doing on the lives. I was watching at home. And obviously the crowd, it seemed really up for it on that big, you know, the area going into the south, the big, you know, slapping the girders that make all that noise. The singing was there. I thought, oh, you know what? Newcastle wasn't the best, but we've kind of alluded to it, put out a great post about where we're lacking. But today, let's go out. Let's make a statement at home. We haven't been good at home since the first day. And it wasn't there, mate. And I just think, we're looking at Newcastle and then looking at that game. What's been your thoughts over the last 5-6 days?
Well, I think Newcastle, I think we actually played okay, but you could kind of give them a bit of slack because there was a lot of players, there was a lot of changes made. I think our fringe players didn't turn up just like Newcastle's fringe players turned up, really, in that. Their fringe players wanted it more than ours. Johnson and Richarlison were wasteful, but then they didn't play against Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? Like, they come on sub against Chelsea, but I don't know. Like I said, but I've been saying it for a while. I think Frank needs to remember now he's at Tottenham and the expectation to go and beat Bournemouth at home, Wolves at home, Villa at home, Chelsea at home. The expectation is to go and win them games. Like a draw is not acceptable and definitely not losing, especially when you go and play Chelsea with one shot on target or one shot on goal that went over the bar by Kudus. That's not acceptable, you know. And like I like Frank, and I can see what he's trying to do. He just needs the players, and I think all the fans need to be patient with Frank. Yeah, like we understand that the performances are not great, but we have picked up the points, and we are somehow currently in the top 6 somehow. Like wherever, well, I don't even know where we are. I've not even checked, but I think we're in the
We're fifth. We're fifth at the moment.
So somehow we're up there, but it isn't good enough, though. It isn't good enough. Like, and I say this in a lot of the chats that we're in. We've beaten the teams that we should beat, apart from the Man City game, but we always beat. We've beaten the teams that we should beat, like your Leeds, your Everton. The teams around us, like Bournemouth, Chelsea, Aston Villa, we lose. And Man United this weekend, I don't think we're going to beat Man United this weekend.
Wow.
I don't think that. I think any team around us at the minute has kind of got our number.
Well, looking at that game yesterday, TJ, and Matt said a little bit about it earlier on. Chelsea kind of set up to go, right, we're going to apply a little bit of pressure, but we're going to allow you at the back to make your own mistakes. And the goal came from 2 players making different mistakes, Jed Spence and Van der Ven. When we talk about Thomas Frank, and he will obviously need time, you know, he's coming to a situation, as you very much said, 17th in the league. You know, the Europa League, take that for what it is, but we were 17th over 38 games. What are you making of what's going on at the moment, i.e. playing out from the back at moments through the goalkeeper Vicario, how we've got a lack of creativity? What are you seeing Frank build and what was exposed yesterday against Chelsea?
I think what Frank's trying to do, and I think what he's been successful at so far, is making Tottenham hard to beat or hard to score against. And I think you have seen that, like whether it be Vicario playing wonder saves or defensively quite astute from set pieces. I think there was a stat before this weekend's football about Tottenham being top from goals from open play or something like that. I mean, it's one of them bullshit make-up stats, but at the same time, you got to read into it a little bit and say that, you know, we've sharpened up at the back, and Frank has brought that in, and I can see that. My problem comes in what's going forward. For the Newcastle game and the Chelsea game, I thought we played well against Newcastle. By the way, I don't think we were terrible. I think players got found out in the Newcastle game. Going forward, I think Johnson, he offers me nothing, guys. I'm sorry. I love him. I'll love him for Bilbao. Always will. Like I do Mora for the Ajax goal, but you know, I feel like Johnson in this system doesn't work for me. And Richarlison's kind of edging into that bracket as well. Like to play a number 9 at that Newcastle game, he was so far behind the play. For every ball that came in the box, he was behind, or he just wasn't in the right position. He didn't really show the tenacity to get there. So a few players I think have been found out. And my problem, and something that's really consistent, is the sharpness of passing at Tottenham at the moment. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what they're doing in training, but they can't string passes together at the moment. They can't play from out. They get the ball in a counter-attacking position. I saw this 4 times against Newcastle. And that ball from the back line to counter into forward play always went to a Newcastle player. Ugh. Even on the law of averages, it should have hit a Spurs player once.
Yeah.
And then I saw the same against Chelsea, you know, and it started further back this time, you know, like you say, for the goal. This is the issue, is like when the goals are coming from unforced errors, it starts leading to me like a confidence issue or a lack of decisiveness, because you shouldn't really be losing the ball on your back line. Like no matter what, like listen, they played a good press, but we should be good enough to play around their press. And it just didn't seem like they had it. And yeah, I'm struggling with the lack of bite in this team at the moment. And I don't know who at Tottenham needs to walk in that dressing room before we play Chelsea, but someone needs to tell him it's a fucking important game for us. And it's a big fucking game to win. Like, you can't be going out there performing like that against like one of our three. We have three big rivals in the league, and that's one of them. And they fucking, and you've had not even a shot on target at home in the 90 minutes. That's something that needs to be addressed. It's not a one-off. Do you know what I mean? We're seeing this in that we're not creating enough chances. Yes, Kulusevski's out. Yes, Maddison's out. But what the fuck have we bought Xavi Simons for? Like, you know what? Where are the other players stepping up? Like, Kudus has been great, but I feel like the guy's burning out a bit. You can't rely on him for everything. And then Bergvall, I think, was a huge miss going off early. He didn't want to come off, but obviously for concussion reasons or whatever, they've got to bring him off. But he was massive miss for me. As soon as he went off and Xavi Simons come on, listen, I'm sorry. I don't know how many podcasts I've done, but the guy's given me nothing. And listen, he's a bit lightweight for me. I don't think he's ready for the physicality of the Prem. Someone needs to put him on the weights or go and let him play rugby for half hour or something. Fuck knows. But I'm struggling with like a few of the players at the moment, and a lot of them are attacking players for me. Is what I'm trying to say. Is that I can see what Frank's doing. In summary, and I've rambled on a bit. I'm still fucking fuming, to be honest. But in summary, I think defensively we are tighter, we are better, and we are harder to play against. But if you're not scoring at the other end, it doesn't matter how good you are at the back. You're not going to win games. It's that simple.
It is. You know what, Lee, as well. I'll tell you what, I think football's come as well, right? So I don't know how hours footballers train a day. Like, it might be like 4 hours, maybe. Like, they might have to do like a little light gym. I don't know. I don't think they spend all down a training ground or whatever, yeah? But I think where set pieces has come so heavily in football, I think it's kind of come away from the tactical side of the game now, and it's all gone. Our training schedule now at the minute seems to be fully focused on set pieces, defending.
But Matt, you see them doing that in the fucking warm-up. Like, I know. Why are you practicing set pieces in a warm-up?
I know.
I don't understand that. If firstly, you should have been doing it in your training sessions, and secondly, if you're practicing it, you're showing everybody what you're going to do. Like, it makes absolutely no sense to me. Like, why they're doing set pieces in warm-ups before games. But sorry, Matt. Yeah, go on, carry on, man. Like,
I think that's where it's gone. I think we've kind of lost our way on the pitch a bit, and that's why we're not creating nothing, because we're so heavily relying on set pieces at the minute. I think we're all trying to be like Arsenal, and that's the truth. Arsenal score a set piece every time they get one, yeah. And I think like we're trying to, and not just us, the other teams are trying to go down that road as well. But I think with Kudus, I think teams just double up on him now. And if you double up on Kudus, he's our only outlet. And we don't look like scoring. Without Kudus on the ball, we don't look like scoring a goal. Xavi Simons, I don't know. I don't want to get on his back too much. I know it's early, but he's offered me absolutely nothing, man. Nothing.
Yeah.
He come on yesterday. The biggest cheer weren't even Chelsea's goal in that stadium. I think it was Chelsea fans laughing their heads off when they took off Simons, because he apparently rejected Chelsea to sign for us, and they were laughing their heads off.
Yeah, he's not given much, has he, at all? And that's the problem. Like you say, I think that's the perfect way to put it. Kudus has been our shining light, and they're just doubling up. They go, right, you've got a bit of pace, because he's always beating a man. Even now, even when there's two on him, he's getting towards the byline and getting it in, or getting something to come from it. But he's on his own, and I didn't know how bare we were. You know, we talked about Sonny not being in the right way last season and that, but I can't believe how bare it seems in positions now. You know, as I say, for me, if we're keeping Johnson, he's a 15-minute impact player that comes on to play up front, if anything, when we need a goal. I don't look at him taking on players, beating players, putting a cross in. He just needs to get on a pass, beating a player over 2 or 3 yards to get on the end of a goal if we need one, because I don't see enough in it. Same with Richarlison. I feel like he has good spurts, but then they're outweighed by much more inconsistent periods of performance. And that's a tough thing. Muani, at the moment, it's early days. He looks all right, but you know, it's a player on loan. It's not with an option to buy. He's kind of looking at it as probably getting game time without actually move into the club or taking that interest in. This could change. You know, look, it's a World Cup year. Everybody wants to look like they're doing the right thing, but it is a very, very tough moment. But the biggest thing about this is that we now go into a really big Champions League game. We've got to get this win. This Copenhagen is probably the dead rubber that we said when we looked at the fixtures in the Champions League, and especially the home ones. TJ, do you see a better performance? Do you see goals coming, or do you think it's going to be similar to how it has been when we've won games at home? But well, the Villarreal game in general, how do you see Copenhagen playing out?
No, it has to be better. There's no two ways about it. Like, we have to go into this game and roll them over. No other performance will be acceptable. You can't come off the back. I've said it the whole way through, right? I said the period between the 2 international breaks it will tell you about Tottenham's season. It will tell you all you need to know. We've lost 3 of those games so far. We've got 2 left, right, of the 7. Copenhagen is a must-win and is a must-win big. Like, we need to go into that game looking to win 3-0, 4-0. Make a statement. Lay it down. You do that, you're halfway through to the next round. Like, forget qualifying top 8 for now. You just want to get to European football in February, right? That's what we're going to do by beating Copenhagen. We need one more win after that. So that like, one thing I will say is the Champions League, yes, it's been tough. Yes, the performances haven't been great, but we're still unbeaten and we're still in the mix to qualify. Should be quite comfortably given the fixtures we've got. If you lose to Copenhagen, then the pressure mounts. And I'm not saying it's warranted, but you can't be losing 3-4 games in a row, especially in games like that where you should be winning, and then not expect a backlash, especially when the performances aren't great either. It's one thing playing great and losing, and fans go, do you know what? We fucking gave it all day. We left it all on the pitch. But I don't think any of us can say that we've seen that recently from this team. We have, like in the Super Cup, they played like that. We have seen them play like that City away. We have seen that in some of the other away games. But at home, it just isn't working. So this is a game where you need to go out and change the tide. This is where it happens. And like I said, that our season will be defined by this period of games. And for me right now, we're obviously out of the Carabao Cup. I think we'll beat Copenhagen. We have to beat Copenhagen. No two ways about it. So like Champions League, we should have European football come February.
Yeah.
And as for me, the league, the best we're hoping for is European places at this stage. Anyone who thought we would be challenging for the top 2-3 places, even myself, I like the idea of it. I never say I'll jump on the bandwagon, but you got to be realistic. And like I've said before, like if Tottenham finish in European places, even that Conference League, that is a successful season in the league for us, given where we were last season and the fact that we're in a transition year. So Copenhagen is a must-win, but it has to be a performance as well. We have to do a job on Copenhagen. There's no two ways about it. The fans won't accept any less at the moment.
No. And Matt, I know you said earlier on about the Man United game. What is it? They've not had the greatest of form. They've obviously had a couple of wins on the bounce. They got a draw at Forest yesterday. What makes you so unsure about Saturday and taking them on at home?
Taking them on at home is probably why I think Man United will get something against us. Yeah. Man United are on the same points as us. They're on the same points as us in the league.
Similar, yeah. We're all around the same mark.
The league is. That's one thing I'll say. You could one match week will change the entire makeup of that league. I think it's like 3 points between 12 teams or something. It's mad.
Yeah. There's a lot in there, but yeah, what do you see the best outcome then, Matt? Do you think we'll get something out of it at least?
Well, Man United, I think we're drawing Man United. I think we'll draw. I think I don't know what needs to change for an atmosphere in that stadium, but obviously the team has to perform for the fans to liven up. It's all good atmosphere in the pubs and in the concourse and that before the game and that. Do you know what I mean? But as soon as the ball's kicked from centre, I tell you what's reminding me of the back end of Conte days where we take centre, the atmosphere's good, take centre, and then we're sitting on the back end of our 6-yard box, 18-yard box, and then it's hard to get everyone up again. The way you get the atmosphere up in that stadium is by playing on the front foot, pressing them high, keeping the tempo high. Ange did get that for a period of time, didn't he? Like when we used to play.
Oh, massively.
Yeah. But I struggle to see where that performance is coming from at the minute. The best times we played this season was Man City away and PSG, because we played that high intensity, high press. We haven't done that since.
Yeah, it's crazy. And as we just had there, Mitch THFC watching live said, I'm in my mid-20s. I agree. The atmosphere was shocking. It wasn't like a derby game. There's people saying we can't perform like that again. Jay Kennedy, Bill Nicholson Pub, hello to them. Yeah, good friends. They said it went off in there. So that's a good thing. At least it was, the pubs were going well, as you say. It's just a really tough time. And, I look at yesterday, I can't really say, I'm not going to do our usual hot spur, not spur. I can't really say that anyone was the greatest. I think Vicario, as a goalkeeper, law of averages, he made some good saves, but his kicking is horrendous. I've got to be honest. The last thing I'll say about it, TJ, because we've got a very special guest coming on. The last thing I'll ask you about, and it's done the rounds today, is the video where Frank was going on the pitch and Van der Ven and Spence were coming off, and they pretty much ignored him, and he sort of looked behind a bit in shock. And it was a bit of a sad thing to see, because I think the thing all of us will probably like about Thomas Frank, and no pun intended, he is quite frank, he is quite honest, he is quite open. I think he's very fair, and he talks very open in the way that he sort of looks at the game. How have you sort of read that? What was your feelings when you saw that video?
I don't like it at all, especially this early in his tenure. I don't like it. I don't like it. Almost comes across like there's a problem in the dressing room when that happens, and then everyone, the media is going to jump on the bandwagon, and everyone's going to say it's not all right at Tottenham. There's player power and all that shit. I fucking hate. I hated watching it, because really, what the manager says should go regardless, right? Like if he's saying do whatever the fuck go. But from their point of view, like as a player myself, if I was a player, I would say that I wouldn't want to walk around the pitch after that performance clapping the fans either. Like we were shit. Like if I'd be like, I just want to get off this fucking pitch and let's discuss what's going on in the dressing room. Like walking around clapping the fans after that fucking performance against Chelsea. I don't blame them for running off down the fucking tunnel, to be honest.
They're role models, though, aren't they? So they have to do that. Like, imagine the picture that sends to all the grassroots kids when they start losing the game and they start sulking, not shaking hands.
I agree, and this is what I said at the beginning. Like, if the manager's telling you to do something, you do as you're fucking told. You go around and think. I don't know who you think you are. Like in my opinion, like my managers would be like, "You're doing this, you're doing that." I'll be like, "All right, yes, boss."
Yeah.
I don't sit there and argue with him. Like we can have a discussion about my tactics and whether I agree with your tactics. But at the end of the day, he's got the final say. So if he wants me to walk around the pitch and clap the fans, I'm walking around the pitch and clapping the fans. What this could do is if he has to stamp a bit of authority, we're talking about two important players getting dropped next week. Because if I was a manager, that's what I would do. I asked you to do something, you didn't do it, dropped. Simple. That's the rules around here, mate. That's how I run. That's how I run the ship. But more importantly, I didn't like how it came across. Like I understand why they did it. I think Frank's been quite humble in it when he's been speaking about it as well. But yeah, most importantly, I just didn't like how it came across. It makes it look like we're divided at the moment, and I don't think we are. I think we're still very early in Frank's tenure. Sorry, mate, go on.
They both got the nod before kickoff, and that. So I don't think there was definitely something before kickoff. Something must have happened at half time. For that
I wonder if it's I wonder if it's that last kick. The Vicario to Spence and Spence back. I wonder if they asked to do that, and that's where it went wrong, because that was literally the last bit, and it was Spence who seemed to be the more animated out the two of him and Van der Ven. I wonder if he was just disappointed that he was brought the ball back to him when it was all about the goalkeeper getting it out there. There is something wrong with Vicario's kicking, because there's times Van der Ven's doing the goal kicks. He doesn't ever seem that confident when he's bringing the ball out. And that worries me, because I think teams are wrong on that.
Do you really think they had an issue with something tactical? I don't. I think it was just more like he's gone out there and gone, right, say bye to thanks to the fans, and everyone, nah, fuck that.
It could be. That's what I'm saying.
I think it was a tactical thing. I think something happened at half time and things just didn't go to plan. And I think it just.
But then where's that? That would have been that conversation would have happened on a pitch. No, someone would have said something on the pitch.
I think it happened in the changing room at half time, because we were poor in the first half, and I think they must have said, "Look, let us just play this way." And I think Frank's like, "No, you're going to play this way." And I think Van der Ven and Spence are fuming about it. I don't know. But with regards to what you just said there, T, as well, end of the day, players, it costs a lot of money to go to that ground, yeah, for everyone to go and watch that. So the least that them players can do, if they don't put a performance in, the least they can do is just go around and give them fans a clap for attending. Because it's a hell of a lot of money, So look, I think it's wrong. Yeah, what Spence and Van der Ven done is totally wrong. The only one that is going to get dropped at them is Spence. Van der Ven will play against Copenhagen and Man United. Now when Dogi's back, it's an easy thing to drop Spence now, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
And that's
I
what we
mean,
do.
well, that's it. And we'll come to talk about next week, which is a huge week. Copenhagen and obviously Manchester United. I'll get your score predictions at the end, but I must say, with every cloud, there is a silver lining, and thankfully, there is one today. We have a very special guest on this week's podcast to kind of get us out of the gloom of Chelsea. And I'm delighted to say that there has been a book that's been out over the last few years called The Ghost of White Hart Lane, which is around the Spurs legend and Scotland star John White, one of the best footballers of the 1960s. However, in July 1964, he was struck by lightning and he was killed. He was only 27 years old. And that book has been out and it's based on, it was written by it was written by John's family, Rob White and Julie Welch, but there is also a play that has been written and directed by our special guest, Mr. Martin Murphy. Martin, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's a delight to have you on, mate, because as you were sort of waiting to come on there, I'm sure you heard our displeasure, as I'm sure you...
Yeah, no, I feel exactly the same. We all saw yesterday, and we move forward, hopefully.
Well, that's it. And the one thing I'll say, Martin, before we go on to talk about the play and your involvement in it, tell us about your sort of history of supporting Tottenham and your love for the club.
So mine was kind of, I don't know about all yourselves, but mine was very much sort of enforced upon me by the family, really. So my great granddad was Scottish. He was from Inverurie, but he moved to North London in 1918 after fighting in the First World War, and started going to Spurs at that sort of time. And then when my granddad came along, he started taking him. And then in the 60s, my mum and her brothers were sort of born, so they'd all go. And then I grew up in Holloway, so it was, a lot of the other lot at my primary school. But I was kind of informed at about the age of 6 or something. I think the Scum had won the league or something, and everyone was saying they were the best team. And so I came home, and you were kids. So I was like, oh, is it true that they're the best team around? My mum was like, ring your uncles. And so I was like ringing them, and they informed me I was a Spurs fan. So I got taken on to my first game. I was about 6 or 7 in 1989. Saw us beat Everton, and then started going more regularly in the early 90s when I was about 11 or 12, and then kind of going along since then. So suffered a long time, but it's one of those family things that I'm now sort of inflicting on my own children in that they've been along a bit. Like my little girl's 6 and my baby's 1. So they're sort of coming. They've been some of the women's games and stuff as well, just to get it kind of passed on, whatever this disease is that we all share.
And at least the women are playing well at the moment as well. So
they're having a very good season. So I'm hoping some of the games, it's tough. The ones we play at the stadium are always the really big ones, which is good on some fronts, but it always means that the kids get a bit used to watching us get beat by sides. Although we beat the Scum in the Christmas one a couple of years ago. So So that's my journey towards becoming a Spurs fan.
Amazing. And what was your first game? Do you remember your first game?
Yeah, it was like the weekend after Hillsborough, actually. So I don't know why they thought that was a good time to start taking a little kid to football. But I remember the silence. Before it, and then we beat Everton 2-1 with a couple of Paul Walsh goals. Been sort of come along since. So the ones in the 90s have a bit more of a memory when I was sort of 11 or 12, where you it starts to really kind of burn in. And then I was a ball boy, 94, 95, which was a great experience. The only sort of chance to be out on the pitch for Spurs, I've never had been good enough to actually play, but to be out there and have some influence on the game by throwing the ball back to Jurgen Klinsmann and people like that was quite a special year.
Oh, amazing! I think one of our team, Kevin, who's sadly not available tonight, he was a mascot around that same time for Spurs.
Oh, okay. We might have shared a tunnel at some point.
Yeah, you might have done. Just
Yeah.
what's your favourite match ever been at the Lane or Wembley, wherever it may be?
Let's have a think on that. That's a tricky one. A favourite, isn't it? I mean, I think the final North London derby, the 2-0, sort of just before the Old Lane went.
Oh,
yeah, I think I'd had a real struggle to get there that day. I'd done the Hackney half that morning, and then all the fucking buses and all the roads were closed. And I was at a point, I was like, I'm gonna have to go. I had my sort of ticket on me, and I was like, I'm gonna have to go straight there, like covered in. I was stinking, and I was like, I'm not missing that game. So I did manage to just about make it home and have a quick wash and then get there. But that one was just, you know, if I'm asked for a quick fire one, then that's one that kind of stands out.
I mean, it was a great season, right, TJ? I remember that.
Exactly. Yeah.
You never thought we'd lose when you went down there, TJ.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I remember. Just obviously, I had a season ticket, and every game we went to, we were like, yeah, it's how many, as opposed to like if we're going to win. You just know that like you was going down there knowing we're going to win every game. I think we drew 2 and won 17 that season at home. We didn't lose at home at all in the last year. Yeah, it was
different now.
Time to be a Spurs fan. A little bit different now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Those Poch days will go down rich in history, mate. I tell you.
Well, they were great times, weren't they? And a great stadium. But I guess, Martin, going into everything, I mean, I've got a copy of The Ghost of White Hart Lane, which is a great book. Talk about how you got involved with Rob White, Julie Welch, and this turned from a book into a play.
Sure. So I've known Rob a few years, and he approached me about 3 years ago now and said, we're coming up to the 60th anniversary of my dad's death, and I want to mark it by doing a play, you know, of his kind of life, and he wanted me to write it, which was a massive compliment, massive honour to be sort of, you know, asked to do something like that. So I've read the book when it came out, just as a fan. Always been, you know, I've known Robert a few years, and always been a massive fan of Julie Welch from her film Those Glory Days, where that got re-shown on Channel 4 in the mid-90s, where my mum taped it off Channel 4 for me when Danny Blanchard died.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it's a great film, and I had it on VHS, and I just you know, I watched it till the tape ran out. Basically, I just kind of watched it over and over again. So that film's always been a real big part of my sort of Spurs support in life, and so Julie's always been a huge inspiration to me as well. So to get to work on her words and Rob's own story was amazing. But so I took, you know, you take that book that I've read as a kind of fan, and suddenly I'm like, okay, now I've got to look at it with a different eye, because I'm now working out which elements of this are dramatic, which elements of this have to be in the story, which elements of John's story have to be in there, which elements of Rob's story have to be in there. From that, I create the kind of draft, as well as what's in the book. I also, because obviously Rob's still around, I'm like, you know, with John White, I can't ask him things. I can't. You just have to get what's out there from what people who knew him at the time have said. But with Rob, I could ask him questions about various points in his life. What was this? You know, what was your 18th birthday like? What was your wedding day like? Things where often you will have your father there, and obviously growing up without a parent there, and a parent who was so significant, not just to him obviously, but to the whole Spurs family. Someone that, for Rob, it was an experience of just growing up with a father that everyone knew except for him, because he was 5 months old when John White died. So took that script, you know, created a script from there, and we did an initial read through at Park Theatre, where various producers and stuff were along, but we also had some representatives from Spurs, and they were good enough to say we really like it, and they offered to host the premiere of the play at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on the 60th anniversary of John White's death, which was just absolute huge honour for me, because it's always made when you get plays published or whatever, and it'll say on the back, this play premiered at Soho Theatre or wherever it was on. But to have one where it's like, this play premiered at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, was just, an absolute honour for me, to combine my two biggest loves in life, which are theatre and Spurs, to sort of come together in one piece, was amazing. And so it was there, and it was up in Edinburgh, where it did really well, fantastic reviews, and won awards. And the audience reaction was also so special up there, because beyond just the Spurs fans who were interested in the show, obviously he's got a huge lot of interest up in Edinburgh, because he was from Musselburgh, just outside there. So there's a lot of people up there really interested in his life, and fans of Scottish football fans who have sort of heard the legend of what a great player he was. So it's been brilliant to sort of have it up there, and then to bring it back to London this July. We had it at Jackson's Lane, where it's did really well. So it's coming back there in January, last 2 weeks of January next year.
Incredible. And I guess then, you've talked about it. It's obviously come at the sense of Rob's sort of way of thinking about his dad. That's how the play plays out and stuff like that. But talk a little bit about John White as a player. How was he held in regard, like you say, by Spurs fans, by Scottish fans? What was he as a player? Do you have to delve a lot into that?
He's so well regarded in terms of it's amongst players himself. People like Jimmy Greaves spoke about him as being potentially one of the best players of all time. So many people what's been difficult is to try and get any sense of what he would be like to compare, because most people didn't see him play. There's only a small percentage of people who are alive now who actually saw him, and there's clips and stuff. But the closest I sort of get from people is kind of Luka Modric, that kind of role. Obviously, the nickname the Ghost, which then became kind of a double meaning to it once he sadly passed away when in his prime. But he was always known as the Ghost for his ability to just show up like a ghost. Like the ball would come in, no one would see him, and suddenly it's in the back of the net. So he was a player who throughout his entire career was battling against the fact that people said he was too small. He was born really premature, so he was tiny at birth, and then was really small at every point to which clubs would release him when he was a young kid. Like they'd be like, he's going to get knocked off the ball, they'd stick him out on the wing, keep him out of the game, that sort of thing. Think he wouldn't be able to sort of handle the cut and thrust of playing more centrally, but he overcame all that, and scored as part of our side, which became the first ever team to win first ever British side to win a European trophy, and to be a key part of that double side. He was just such a talented player. Set up so many goals, and as a personality, just seems amazing. Like such a great sense of humour. Him and Cliff Jones, just absolute naughty boys. You know what I mean? They were lads in their 20s at the time, and nicking ice cream like bikes and driving around selling ice creams to the players around the Bell and Hare, and just stuff the players wouldn't do now. They're not going to go in the Bell and Hare these days, or whatever it is now. Number 7, whatever it's called. But number 8. But that's what it was like there. You'd go out to the pubs that the fans frequented, and you'd socialise in that way, and they'd be a bit naughty. They just get up to all sorts of pranks and stuff, and Bill Nick would be telling them off for setting the alarms off in hotels and things like that.
Yeah, it's crazy, like you say. He's in the prime of life. He's still at Spurs, right? When he was sadly killed.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And Bill was about to build a new side around him. So he'd the day he passed away, they did the team photos for the new season. It was in July, so they were coming up to August. It was first day of pre-season training. So they called them all in, and he was rebuilding. We'd obviously had the 61 side, which was fantastic. And then I think Bill saw the 63 winning of the European Cup Winners' Cup as the finale of that side. Probably as if we'd won in 2019, say, if we'd managed to win the Champions League that year, we still would need to rebuild. It's not like, okay, we kick on from there. It needed a rebuild, that team, which we're still kind of suffering from now. But Bill Nick very much saw John White as being the heart of that new team. That was, that's what he was going to build it all around. And so to suddenly lose him later that day on the golf course, to be hit by lightning, which is devastating for, obviously the family because that hurts the most. But to Bill Nicholson and all the players and the fans, it had a really profound effect. And I don't think we ever he was never able to build a side as successful as the one with John White in.
It's mad. Yeah, and like what happened, like what was, after the death, obviously his son 5 months old, so he's never known his dad. But in terms of the club, what did the club do around John's death and for the family? Was there any, support? Was there any like testimonials or anything like that?
There was a testimonial. So a Spurs side played a Scottish national side, and the money from that went to the family. With a lot of aspects of it, things are very different now in terms of how mental health and things like that. I think people were left to get on with things, which maybe wasn't necessarily the best way to deal with stuff. We now have more outlets for people to get potentially grief counselling or more support, that kind of thing. Particularly for Rob's mother, who was in her early 20s and was left with a 2-year-old and a 5-month-old. And suddenly the not just the father, but also the source of income for that family suddenly taken away. It was, absolutely. I mean, and his Rob's mum, her father was Harry Evans, who was Bill Nick's assistant. So there was links within the club for the sort of family, but Harry had passed away only a year or so before that as well, sadly from cancer. So a very tough time for the family around that kind of early 60s.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's the thing, the play does go on that. Fantastic reviews. I've seen like 5 stars from the Edinburgh Reporter, 4 stars from the Times. Pick of the Fringian ranking says here, but it talks, as I read here, a real deeply personal and nostalgic story that offers a fresh perspective on grief, growing up without a father and male mental health. What does the play is basically centered around Rob? Is that what it is? And how does it all structure on the stage?
So it's a one-person show with one actor playing both Rob and John. So the scenes alternate. We move through time. So we look at John's life from a young kid growing up in very poor working class backgrounds up in Musselburgh, and also losing his father very young, and having to fight against all sorts of things to sort of make it as a footballer. And then also we watch Rob's journey from him as a young kid, from discovering a box with his dad's old kit, his dad's old boots, his dad's medals, that sort of thing up in the attic when he's a kid, right up until the 60th anniversary of his dad's death, where we've got Rob reflecting on life as it's unfolded and his sort of discoveries from there. I wanted it to be something that I didn't want it to be a play just for Spurs fans. Obviously, people watching the podcast will be primarily Spurs fans, unless we've got a couple of gloating Chelsea fans after the weekend. But so it's definitely something that will appeal to Spurs fans. But I also wanted it to be something that appealed to people in a wider audience, in terms of everyone will have experienced loss of some kind, whether that's death or whether that's a loss of a friendship or a relationship, whatever. It's how you kind of come to deal with that, and how we as men can particularly often struggle to talk about that and to deal with it. So I wanted to look at that as much as also exploring the fact that he was a fantastic footballer and his great career for Spurs.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that we're all going to come and see the play in January. I think it sounds fantastic, and the book was great. So again, just for our audience, how can people get to see the play? How can they grab tickets?
So if you go onto the Jackson's Lane website, which is jacksonslane.org.uk, and then just on there, the Ghost of White Hart Lane, it's on for the last 2 weeks of January. We've got 10 performances in there. For anyone who doesn't know Jackson's Lane, it's just right next to Highgate Tube Station, so easy to get to for public transport. It's in Haringey, which is important for us because it's it's very much a Haringey story. It's a Tottenham story, so we wanted it in North London and in a place where it felt the right sort of theatre to have it. But so jump on the Jackson's Lane website, get your tickets. There'll certainly be the first previews on the 19th, and then the press night will be on the 21st. We're leaving the 20th open because we've got Spurs. We've got a Champions League game that night, and I didn't want to go up against them. I left a gap there. So the 21st will be the press night, where if anyone does want to try and grab their tickets for that night, we'll have some decent celebs and ex-players and stuff like that. So it might be a good one to watch and have a nice glass of something and have hopefully a few ex-players to toast with after the show.
Yeah, make a proper week of it, especially if we're playing on the 20th. And how did it change now over time since it's premiered at the stadium, gone to Edinburgh? How do you still look at tinkering things within it to go to?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we still I'll still be working with the actor and fine tuning bits, and there'll be there's also I think this might be a sort of exclusive, but we're also going to have some voiceover in the new one from Paul Whitehouse, who came to see the show and really liked it. He saw it in the last run in July, and also from Alison O'Donnell, who anyone who's fan of the TV show Shetland, she's one of the leads on that. Fantastic Scottish actress, and she's going to have some voiceover in there as well. So we're bringing a bit of that to add to the next production as well, which will hopefully add something for people who've maybe seen it already, but I'll come and see it again, see what the actor brings this time and the new elements we're bringing into the video and the voiceover. So.
Fantastic. Amazing. And so people, do not forget, 21st of January 2026, get your tickets now. The Ghost of White Hart Lane, about the legend John White, written and directed by Martin Murphy here. jacksonslane.org.uk, you say, is that right?
That's right, yeah, that's the one.
Right. We'll throw
amazing.
it. Martin,
we'll
have you on.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, mate.
Thanks a lot.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I know you spoke to a good friend of ours, Steve Perriman, who put us on to you himself. So,
lovely, Steve. It's such an honour to have had, got to know him a little bit in the past year or so. So, yeah, absolute legend of a man.
Yeah, brilliant. Martin, he's a legend. Martin, all the very best, mate. We'll catch up soon, and
thank you so much. I'll catch you soon.
All the best, mate.
Lovely stuff. See you then.
Good luck.
Bye.
That was Martin Murphy there from The Ghost of White Hart Lane. I mean, lads, it sounds like I don't know if you've read the book, but it's a bloody good book. But the play sounds great.
Yeah, I've actually ordered a copy. Obviously, it hasn't turned up. I wanted to read some of it before he came on. But yeah, I'm still waiting for my copy. So yeah, and I'm going to delve into it. I think it's fascinating. I'm a little bit gutted Kev went on today, because I know that would have reached Kev a little bit, that story. So yeah, gutted he couldn't be here to be part of that interview. But
Lee,
yeah, nice. Go on, mate.
No, I was going to say we could pin a post on like the site where people can buy the books and just pin it all over the socials.
For sure, yeah. As we put out our clips now, I'll put a clip out of this. If you're not watching this live or listening live, we've started to put out clips throughout the week. Is the big talking points from the pod, and we'll definitely do that. So we'll put the link to how you can get tickets, how you can get the book. But for us, it's definitely, I reckon, lads, a January Heart and Isle here night out. And if anyone wants to join us, just give us a shout and come with us. I think press night probably sounds a good shout.
100%. Yeah, definitely. I'm up for that.
I mean, then, that's sort of been a real joy to talk about something that hasn't been the weekend. But the truth is, our podcast has got to look to the next week. It never ends, and there are 2 games. And I know we've talked about them a little bit in some ways, but what I want, lads, to end this week is your predictions. And I'll start with Copenhagen. TJ, I know you said it has to be a strong performance. What are you going for in scoreline? And who do you think is going to turn up when we play Copenhagen?
Fucking hell. You asked me who's going to score the goals now. I'm going to say 3-0. I've got to find 3 players that can fucking score a goal at Spurs. I don't know. 3-0. I feel like we're crying out for a Xavi Simons performance, and I feel like it might happen at Copenhagen, believe it or not. But no, I'm all for Bergvall this season. I think he's great. Like I really do. I think he's been a shining light in our attacking players at the moment. I think Paulinho for me, obviously behind that is great, and obviously having I think Romero when he came on against Chelsea, he looked a bit more. He had a bit more bite about him than some of the other players on the pitch.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to watching them guys. But yeah, who's going to score the goals? Fuck knows, mate. But 3-0.
3-0. Matty, Copenhagen, Tuesday night. What's the score going to be, mate?
I think 2-0 Spurs.
Yeah. Clean sheet. I like that from both of you.
I think whoever starts up top, if it's Carlo or if it's Richie, I think one of them will get on the score sheet. I'm going to say like Bentancur or something.
Yeah, Bentancur.
Interesting.
Bentancur.
Put some money on that.
Yeah.
Be good odds.
Yeah, I know. But he got the goal against Villa, didn't he? He gets in those spaces. I'm not sure how much I like him, to be fair, but you know, he gets in some spaces. He gets a goal here and there. So that's 3-0 and 2-0 we will take. That sounds great. But then next Saturday, we have got Manchester United from one big game at home to another, and Man United is not going to be easy. And I guess then TJ, 12:30 early kickoff. It's the last game before the international break as well, I believe, right? If
you're right. Yeah, it's the last one of these fixtures that I've been talking about, so harping on about so long.
Yeah. So it's 12:30. What are you thinking?
I hate 12:30s, by the way. I never fancy Spurs in the 12:30. But
yeah,
are we gonna add to the 4 wins in a row last season? I think we might. You know, I think we might do them on like a high scoring 3-2.
Ooh,
I think I'll put it in the back of my head. I've got this being really open, and I think even though I've said how good we are defensively, we don't concede that many. I think this will be a 3-2, and there's going to be drama. There's going to be like a penalty shot or something. 3-2 Spurs.
What makes you so, based on what we've seen the last 2 games and our home form, what makes you confident about a game scoring 3 against United at home?
Everyone's going to listen to this and think he ain't got a fucking clue what he's talking about. He just told us
None
that
of
shit.
us do.
They do. They come up to me in the pub going, mate, fuck all. No, I don't get that at all. But just a couple. No, I feel like it's about to turn for Spurs. I feel like that performance against Chelsea needs an answer, and I feel like Copenhagen will give us that. I'm hoping. I'm saying this, but I'm hoping, and I feel like at the moment, Man United are just a little bit. It depends who you get with Man United. I think, like you said, they had a really good run of form, and then they've drawn now. So I don't know where they're going to stand on it all. The downside is they've got a whole week to prepare for us because obviously they're not playing European football this season. But at the moment, maybe it's because I'm living off last season a little bit, but I just feel like Man United, we've kind of got them at the moment. Like I fancy it. Whenever we play Man United, I never used to my entire fucking life up until about 4 or 5 years ago, until Poch basically. I used to hate Man United the same way I hate Chelsea and Liverpool games now. I used to be like that with Man United as well, but now I'm the opposite. I quite fancy United in the calendar now, and fuck it. I think we're gonna do them 3-2. Fuck them.
Come on. I like that. Come on. Matty, you said a draw. Sticking with it? What's the score going to be, mate?
No, I'll stick 1-1, mate. I would have gone United win if I was honest, mate. I think if Man United would have won the weekend and United...
Why is he on this podcast?
United fans needed to cut his hair if they beat us, mate, and it would have been a proper Spursy thing for us to do to go and lose that game, and he cuts his hair in that stadium. I think a draw. Right now, I don't see us winning at home. I think we beat Copenhagen, so we should. But Man United, I think they're going to set up and they'll just try and counter-attack us. I don't know, mate. Obviously, I'd love us to win, beat them 2 or 3-1 or whatever, but I'm going to say 1-1 draw, mate.
1-1 draw. I mean,
which to be fair, won't be a bad result, by the way, if it is a draw. Yeah, that's not a bad result at all.
Would take that, yeah. I think even yesterday you'd have taken the 1-1 if we got it, but yeah, it just feels like we need to kick on a bit now.
Take a shot on target yesterday. Fuck me.
Oh, that's it, exactly. That's the mad thing, and I guess that's the thing. We are seeing areas where we are getting better. I feel like away from home, there's no doubt about it. We've been better. We haven't lost. Take away the cup. We've had clean sheets both in the domestic league and in Europe. It's just now got to kick on. But how busy do you think we'll be in January, TJ? Do you think we'll be busy?
Do you know what? I glossed over this earlier. I heard it kind of got mentioned slightly, and I didn't buy it at the time. But I resent these comments about Spurs needing signings after the transfer window we just had. I argue regularly in our chats about this. Honestly, like we've just signed like so many good players that we've said we needed. I thought we had, in the end, had a good transfer window, and now people are coming out going, "Oh, we need to spend big in January." Like I get it. We do kind of need to shore things up a bit and give us depth. And it's mostly due to injuries, in my opinion. You can't be having a transfer window like that and then like a few weeks later saying we need to fucking buy players. It's mad for me. Like I think we definitely need someone up top. If there's someone available, I don't know. I mean, will Mawani come good? Richarlison, is he gonna fucking become a different player? It's not gonna happen. We don't have someone up top at the moment. Like we haven't got it. Javi Simons is the guy who needs to be the creative spark at the moment because Maddison ain't going to play this season. Kulusevski should come back for Arsenal, maybe. There's rumours that he might come back for Arsenal. I think that's a long shot personally, but it might happen. But we are missing, like, I think the back line we're pretty happy with, right? The keeper,
we got enough.
What he is. Yeah. The back line, Paulinho. So then you start looking like centre midfield. Again, I'm quite happy with what's going on in centre midfield. Bergvall, Sarr, Bentancur. These players are all right for me. So for me, it's like what's happening up top. That's where we need to jig things. If you're going to go out in January, that should be your one and only focus. The attacking like 3 or 4 players that in that system. Anything else, you're just wasting money, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you think, Man United, haven't we?
Are we? Oh, that'd be good.
Solanke might be back this weekend. Yeah, I heard that.
I think so. That might give us the lift, that kind of something in the stadium, a bit of a lift with Solanke coming back, you know?
Yeah, there's your 3 goals. That's where they're coming from.
There we go. Matt, do you think January should be busy? I know there was that 100 million injected into the club. Doesn't always mean transfers, but do you think money should be spent in January based on where you've seen us and how Frank's playing us?
January's hard to do business anyway. I think I'm with TJ at the beginning. You would have seen us like have a good window, but when you've seen Richarlison, he started off well, window shut, then he's like gone pony. Johnson, if you'd have took Johnson back end of last season, popping up with a couple of goals, you'd have been like, no, we probably don't. But Johnson don't look like he's got a shot in him at the moment, and Richie can't do anything. And it's left us light up top. Maybe things change when Solanke's back because he's a big difference, the way he presses and that. I don't know, but right now, I think them 2 would have to go and we'd have to bring in 2 new players, yeah.
If you could bring in someone better for them and offload them, that would be a good January, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean,
but what Spurs have done previously, we'll buy like Richarlison for like 60 million, but we'll probably try and get like 75 for him. We're going to have to just cut our losses, take 20 million for him, move him on. Like Spurs have got to just get rid of that attitude now. Do you know what I mean? If a player's flopped, he's flopped. We just have to bomb him off, you know?
Just have to go it. And it's going to be interesting, lads. It's a big month that didn't start well. We've got United, we've got Copenhagen, we've got PSG, we've got the Arsenal after the international break. A lot to happen. But thanks for being on tonight, lads. Big thanks to Martin Murphy, for coming on. And I think, listen, let's go on to a week where hopefully we get further in Europe in terms of getting closer to those playoff round qualifications at least. And then let's pick up some points before we go on the international break by being Man United and making a home performance that we can be proud of because it's been a long time coming. This has been the Heart Now here at Spurs Fans Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We will be back next week, whatever happens. But look, come on, it's a big week for us. Stick behind the team and come on, you Spurs.